This is the Vinnie Jones Show. Tonight we're fielding the Vinnie 11. We're going to give you the best bits so far. So sit back and enjoy it. Gazza admits to nearly shooting me. Frank Worthington on that goal. Alan McCoy talks about Rangers. Jonathan Pearce just talks. David Ellery showed me the red card. And Mary Parkinson plays devil's advocate. Or, in her case, red devil's advocate. And of course, I've had a pint with a football or two in here.
Getting on to the World Cup. England doing so well, Gary.
Yeah.
Like they've been there, eh?
Yeah, I'd love to have had the opportunity to play in the World Cup. I mean, I missed out just in '82. Very close in '82, and I was very young. But it's be a fantastic opportunity for the guys who are going to go there, and I'm sure they'll all be, fighting desperately to retain the form, and the outsiders to try and get in the squad. Fantastic, and being so close as well, be very well supported, no doubt.
And Rob?
Well, Wales, Vin, we haven't qualified for World Cup now since 1952, I don't think. Like Alexa Sparky, Dean Saunders.
Well, that is a problem. Everyone says, isn't it? Wales have got the players.
Yeah,
well, they had them, but they're getting rid of them.
Speak for yourself, yeah.
When we got the likes of him taking over me, shirt, bloody help have I got?
Well, what do you think? Do you think he's good enough to take over your
No, but when they say obviously
Benno,
Benno.
you must have been close to a Welsh cat there with a name like
Well,
Benno.
Jamaica. We're going there with Jamaica, so what can I say? We're better than Wales, ain't we?
This same as Fash. This is what Fash
It's a Welsh name, isn't it?
When England were doing well, Fash was the big England man, and then Nigeria, and then
yeah, they changed it. And he's West Indies when the cricket comes round.
Well, obviously. I'm Australian when the rugby comes round.
What about Wales? What about Wales with the players they've got?
It's a pity because they've got top class players, and it's the pity they can't get to the World Cup. They've missed out a few times, but these things do happen. And it's like you say, you got Sparky, Rushy, yourself. Well, you say yourself.
Is that no?
But it's a pity, and like you say, you've got other countries now catching you up.
Lou Ferrick, if you want to start off, there's a big campaign now, racism in football.
Yeah, well, it's been going on for quite a while, hasn't it? And I mean, to be fair, we did go some way to sorting it out, for a little while. But I think now it's really been hidden down. It's changed now. The sort of racism you get in football now, and I think not only in football, in society now, it's not as obvious as it once was. It's now done in a more subtle way, and it's very difficult to put your finger on it sometimes when it's been done. You're not sometimes aware of it until after it's occurred, So it is difficult.
And how can David Mellor help? I mean, David Mellor's been thrown in. Can he help? Rodney's laughing, and that was the first thing I'd done as well when I heard about it, to be honest.
But I don't know if he can help. I think it's down to each and every one of us to help to try and put it right. I mean, in football, to be fair, all the clubs, they've all done very well to curtail it a great deal. But the hardcore people that go around, and they'll always be that way. I mean, because it's inbred in them. They've grown up that way, and it's very, very difficult. And if they're bringing up their kids in that manner as well, then I mean, that's where it's really got to go about changing it. Is down where the kids are.
But do you think that David Mellor, Tony Banks, or anybody else can change it? They can't change it.
No, they can't. No, they can't do it. It's something we've really got to educate. And we've got to wake up to the idea that really we can't go around and have the prejudice that we have about people's race and colour. I mean, it's crazy.
Getting picked, I think, is the same as us getting picked.
That's right. That's right.
What are the other benefits, like the money and all that? I mean, did you end up because the referee for the Holyfield Tyson fight?
Yeah.
10 grand he got. Is it 10 grand he got?
Right.
10 grand.
Yeah. Well, if I tell you that for the week at Easter when I was in America and the 5 weeks I was off school in June and July, I had to take unpaid leave from school. So I didn't.
I got some new suits.
Yeah, but I'm from my job as a head teacher. I actually had to take unpaid leave. Anytime I went abroad, I lost out.
What, they don't pay you?
You get a daily allowance when you go abroad. You don't get a match fee.
What about women referees, Philip? Will they come in?
Yeah, I was. Well, there's one on the Premier League line at the moment, and she referees on the conference. I mean, my view is that, as in athletics, women are becoming fitter, they're becoming faster, because my worry was that women wouldn't be able to keep up with the game. But clearly with techniques and fitness training and so on now, they are certainly more fitter. My own personal opinion is I think the game should be for men should be refereed by men. That is my personal opinion.
How would you go on?
That's a very sexist viewpoint, isn't
That
it,
is my
Philip?
personal opinion.
How would you go on being told off by a woman?
He's had it all his life.
He's had it all his life, Benno.
I'm quite used to that. Quite used to that.
We're in Glasgow at Ibrox Stadium talking to TV personality and Scottish international footballer Ali McCoist.
So Ali, Scotland qualifying for the World Cup again. How does that feel?
Oh, it's really out of this world, because I think that's the 6th out of the 7 attempts we've actually qualified for the finals. And of course, with it being in France, I think it's safe to say we'll take a fair support over us. I mean, we were over in Italy in 1990 and it was fantastic. Missed out in America, USA 94, but we've made up for it and we're looking forward to France in 98. It's a real bonus for us.
So what number is this for Ali McCoist?
Well, hopefully I'll get there. I mean, it's going to be quite
tough.
tough.
Of course you will.
I don't know. I hope so, because it's going to be quite tough. I mean, Gallagher's on fire just now and Jury's playing out his skin. Darren Jackson will come back in, but I want to be involved. I've got to be involved. It'd be great. And it'd be my second one, because I was over in Italy in 1990. So fingers crossed, but I mean, there's a lot of football to be played between now and then.
If you don't go as a player, I take it you would go as part of the media, though, wouldn't you?
I'd go as a fan, I think.
No, you've got.
And I'd go as a fan of a better time, because all my family and my mates went over to Italy in 1990 and they had an absolute ball. I think the football got in the way of the good time they were having, actually, to be honest with you. I'll definitely be over, one way or another. If I'm not in the squad, hopefully I'll be in the squad. If not, I'll definitely be over travelling some.
Now, for most neutrals, Ali, they see Scotland get to the World Cup and they say, fantastic achievement, they've only got 4 million people or whatever. But the Scottish fans, there's something they catch hold of them when they head off to the World Cup, and they always think you're going to win it. Does that put a lot of pressure on you?
I think it's calmed down a little bit, to be fair. I mean, I don't think we'll all go over think we're going to win it. I mean, 3rd and 4th playoff would have been a reasonable achievement for us in the last couple of years. Oh no, I mean, the days of the 1978 where Ali's Tartan Army and we're all going to Argentina to win it are long gone. We're realistic now. It's a bonus for us qualifying, because as you say, we're a small country, and in terms of qualification, our record must be up there with the best in the world, really. And that's the main thing, getting there. And once we go over there, hopefully the boys will do well. And the lads and the fans have a good time and enjoy themselves. That's the most important thing. As I say, it's in France, it's not too far away. And I would imagine they'll be scrambling for tickets already. But just hope I've got a couple booked.
Now, I apologise for raising this, but you're past 30 now, Ali, aren't you? So you get the extra 9 now. You're warhorse, or you're a veteran now, aren't you?
Veteran? You become a veteran at 32, I'm told.
Does that bother you?
No, not at all. Not in the slightest. I mean, it can't go on forever. I'm enjoying it. I really am enjoying it. When I signed here the best part of 15 years ago, if somebody said I'd still be kicking a ball at 35, and I'm involved with guys like Laudrup and Gascoigne and people like that, I would never have believed them. So I'm really enjoying it, and it's actually the older you get, the more you appreciate it. And I certainly appreciate every day coming in, not just playing, but coming in to train. And it's magic. I'll go on for as long as I can, because the playing side of things is definitely the best. I mean, you talk to guys, I speak to guys all the time, boys that I used to play with, who are now in the management and coaching side of things, and they genuinely say to you, you've got to play for as long as you can, because the playing side is the best of things. So I've got another 4 or 5 left in me, I think.
Have you given any thought to what you'll do, though?
That's games, not years.
Are you going to stay in the game? Because you could be a telepundit now. Could you do Question of Sport and all that?
I enjoy the Question of Sport. That's great fun with John Parrott. I'm really enjoying that. We have a good laugh on that. And the television side of things is enjoyable as well, because I've done the pundit and the panel and things like that, and co-commentated in a few games. And that's something that I do enjoy doing. It's something that I'd look at when I stop playing. But I'm too scared to think about it, because I want to play for as long as I can at the moment.
But you played at some of the biggest clubs going, and here you're at Rangers. You look round this stadium, it's incredible. Yeah. When it does all come to a finish, will there be one memory you'll take away and say, well, if I did nothing else in football, put me down for that one?
Whoa, that's a bit unfair. But I would probably say we hadn't won the championship for years here, and Big Terry Butcher scored a header at Pittodrie, I think from a Davy Cooper cross, and that clinched the championship for us. And I think the scenes that day, and all the way down the team bus from from Aberdeen to here will probably stay with me as long as I live, because as I say, we'd been in the doldrums a little bit. We hadn't won the championship, and Graham Souness came, he signed Big Woodsy, Terry Butcher, and we won it, and with some good players, and probably the atmosphere that day will be with me for a long, long time.
Any regrets?
Regrets, small ones, but the good times far outweigh the bad times. I'm disappointed I never went to the World Cup in Mexico in '86, but I mean, I don't bear grudges. I'm just one of these things. One or two regrets, obviously. What else was there? Getting beat in the cup final at Dundee United was a big blow for us, because we were going for another treble then. They beat us 1-0. But as I say, I've had far too many good times to think about the regrets. One or two disappointments, but the good times far outweigh the bad times.
Well, Ali, I for one am convinced you will be in France as a player in '98. But great talking to you.
Thank you very much.
Ali McCoy.
And I hope so. Thanks a lot. Thank you very much.
If you're a football fan, the voice you're about to hear will be all too familiar. We've come along today to meet the man behind the voice. It is, of course, Jonathan Pearce.
Gascoigne brushes beyond Seydorf. Gaza here. Gaza pulls it back. Sheringham Square. Shearer! Alan Shearer! It was magnificent! England 3, the Dutch 0. 30 years of hurt. We've never stopped our dreaming. Jules Rimet still gleaming.
started off your career as a trainee footballer yourself. Sadly, it was cut short through injury. Can you tell us what happened?
I was playing football when I was 15 years of age, and a bloke who's about 6'4" and 18 stone decided to go over the top and broke my leg in 2 places, and I was 16 weeks in plaster, and then the doctor said that it wouldn't stand up to playing professional football. And I don't think I'd have been good enough anyway, because I didn't have any pace. And
was it a blow though at the time when it happened?
Oh, devastating. I didn't, I went upstairs when the letter came through. I went upstairs and cried for about a day and a half. My mum said, "I told you so, you were never good enough," which is quite supportive. Oh. And my dad, who worked in football, didn't speak to me for about a week because that's all he wanted me to do, So, but in a way, it was beneficial because I could then concentrate on other things. And
I mean, did that make you think, well, I can't play football? Is that where you got your love of becoming commentator?
Yeah, I went upstairs into my bedroom, locked myself in, got my Subbuteo table out, played Subbuteo non-stop for about 3 weeks and commentated with me winning all the time because I was playing against myself. And then that's the way it started, really. And then the local radio station advertised for a job, and Bristol City put me up for the job, and that's how I got in covering their matches.
So what do you think makes a good commentator?
I think there are many good commentators around, with different styles. The way that I try and do it is I just try and be what I am with a microphone, which is a football fan. And I think more and more now football fans are coming through, and there are less sort of hoity-toity, highbrow Oxbridge types coming through, and there are people who actually love the game. And I think that's what you have to do. You have to mirror the passion that people feel in the stands, that they pay a lot of money to go and see football, and they get excited, it's their life, and I think you can mirror that in your commentary.
Ian Wright against Chris Wood! Ian Wright, it's in! Ian Wright for Arsenal! Ian Wright's 4th goal in FA Cup finals! He joins the legendary Stan Mortensen on that mark! He's made his mark again! Right all alone!
What's the biggest gaffe you've ever made?
I was at West Ham again towards the end of the season. It was the last game, and they were playing Notts County. And at the same time, Sheffield Wednesday were up at Oldham. And if Sheffield Wednesday lost at Oldham, West Ham went up as champions. Didn't matter what happened in their game. And I've said live on the radio, Sheffield Wednesday have lost because it was given to me in my ear. Sheffield Wednesday have lost. I think this is a scenario, is what I can remember. So West Ham are up as champions. On they come, about 20,000 roaring because they've won the championship, all looking up and they're waving up to the press box. And then it came through score correction. Sheffield Wednesday had in fact won, so I had to say, oh, correction, Sheffield Wednesday have won. West Ham, you're still promoted, but you're not champions. And then the 20,000 just turned in front of me, and they were making gestures that suggested that I was probably doing things in my bedroom privately that I shouldn't be doing.
How did you feel about that?
A bit embarrassing, but I think they've forgiven me for it now.
England are through! England are through! England are in the European Championship semi-finals, and Seaman has saved, and England have beaten Spain. It wasn't a romping, buccaneering, Drake-like victory over the Armada. We didn't singe the King of Spain's beard, but Salvador Dali, Pablo Picasso, Jose Carreras, Julio Iglesias, El Cordova, Don Quixote, your boys are out and England are through, and you can stick it up your Julio Iglesias, ask no questions, tell no lies. England are heading for the biggest prize.
Tell me a little bit about this enduring love affair with football, because here you are, and I'm not being funny, but you're probably closer to 50 than you are to 40, and you still play.
Yeah, I mean, I still play with the Coronation Street All-Star team. We have some great games, raising money for good causes around. Play with Emily News charity team all over the country, and we have a lot of fun still. And it's great to be able to still go out there and not really feel any after effects, in as much as I can still get through 90 minutes and I don't feel too badly afterwards. So I still enjoy the game. I love the game of football, and it's a delight to come along here and on a Saturday afternoon, whenever, and be part of the atmosphere you know, a Premier League football match. I still go down to Huddersfield Town, and I still enjoy. I go down to Halifax Town, my old team, playing in the Vauxhall Conference, and I still enjoy the game now as much as I ever did as a player.
If you could knock 20 years off your birth certificate, you know as well as I do now you'd have earned more money than you could shake a stick at playing football. But you've got to make a crust. So what do you do now?
I do, you know, the nice thing about coming out of football, you know, unless you've got a business venture set up, whatever, we get invited to go and speak at various dinners around the country, around the UK, and sometimes even farther afield, and we get invited to do a lot of after dinner speaking.
When you come back to Bolton, you know and I know that you're always going to get asked about that goal.
Allardyce's throw, was header, Gowling under it. Worthington now from Gowling's header, and Worthington, and what a beautiful Worthington goal!
It was one of the greatest goals that anybody's ever seen. Does it ever get on your nerves that you know you're going to get asked 10 times by the time you walk in the stadium?
It doesn't get on my nerves, no. I mean, the nice part of the circuit, the dinner circuit, is that, you know, I am remembered. I mean, you'd think that was the only thing I'd ever done in my life, you know, scoring that one particular
Yeah,
goal.
fair enough.
I did play a few other games in between times. I scored about 270 league goals or something like that. But that one was captured on the old cameras, and you know, it brings back. It always gives me a nice, good sort of feeling, and you know, great for it to be in here at the Wanderers, and part of a great team and a successful one. And you know, whenever I go in the country, people always say, "I remember that goal."
Frank, it's been great fun talking to you, but let me ask you one question to finish. If you could pick one moment out of all your career where you say, well, whatever happens to me, nobody can take that away from me, which one would you pick?
Oh, no question about it, Jimmy. It's when you step out at Wembley with the 3 lines on your chest, representing your country, knowing that you're number 1 in the country in your position. That is the proudest moment of any professional sportsman's career, whether you're a footballer, cricketer, rugby player, whatever. When you step out there on your home ground at Wembley, say, or at Twickenham for the rugby players, or, you know, wherever, Lords for the cricketers, that is the proudest moment of your life.
And you guys, I mean, doesn't it just gall you that Newcastle, I mean, you were for years the big club in the northeast. You've actually won.
Still are. Still are.
You've actually won more league championships than you. They've won more league championships than you.
They have not.
They have. They have won more league championships. They have won more league championships
We're
than
still a
you.
bigger club because of the fact that, all right, we're
Well,
not
you've
having
got
the
a huge
success at the
great
moment.
stadium.
Yeah, we've got a
Fantastic
better stadium,
fans.
better following.
No, they haven't, man.
Better following and a better
And you're
stadium.
and you're in the first division.
Yeah.
And we've got better dress sense.
But how do you guys feel about Trevor Francis at the moment?
A marvellous player, the best player we've ever had. However, his man management, etc., a lot to be desired. If only we had Mark McGee, the most popular man in England. At least he isn't as controversial as Mark McGee.
Trevor Francis.
The first £1 million
He was funny as Jasper
I want you
Campbell,
to
I
know,
think.
we all love Trevor Francis because we know that as long as you've got Trevor Francis as manager, you will always be Division 1 or Division 2.
I'm happy to admit that Kevin Keegan is the second most successful manager the North East has ever seen. The first was Lloyd McMenemy.
Let's face it, Keegan was a failure.
Of course not.
He was.
Of course not. You
He
can't
was.
say that, man.
He never won anything.
Hey, look out, failure.
I'll tell you
Look
something.
out, look
You
out,
give
look
any
out.
manager. What about our dealers and what about Smith? If they'd had 60 million, they could have done a canny team.
Yes, they could have done. But there's a common misconception in football that unless you win a European trophy, unless you win the Coca-Cola, unless you win the First Division or the FA Cup, you're unsuccessful. What these managers and gaffers and boards of directors are doing now is if you're profitable, you're successful.
The big example is Norwich. I mean,
That's
Norwich
it.
City, they've got like 2 bandings of something like 15 quid and like 22 quid for away fans because they class us as big clubs.
A games and B games.
And Norwich City class us as big clubs, so they're going to make more money out of us. Well, you think that stinks? You think it sucks? And Norwich City,
I think we should charge them 30 quid.
Nobody's making any big deal about the fact that Manchester United, by their own admission, have played well this season, and 40% of their goals have been deflections. They happen. You just have to accept them when it goes wide of the post, and you just have to be philosophical when it goes in.
When we overtook you that season, I mean, the number of games we won 1-0.
What's this we?
She's my new support man.
Oh, I'm crying now. I'm sitting there. I can't believe that.
Hey, wouldn't you let this lot in last year?
Because of his dress sense.
We could argue all night.
Supporters.
Everybody was to blame except the fans.
Let me speak 1 second. I heard that there were actually Newcastle fans that went and bought Sunderland season tickets just to go to the game.
Well, I did. I shouldn't be selling the match because the atmosphere was that bad. But the thing is, most Sunderland supporters want Newcastle supporters at Yoga Park.
Yeah.
Most Newcastle supporters want Sunderland supporters in St James's Park.
Yeah, we don't agree on that.
It was the hierarchy that stopped it.
It's a nonsense, all of that, isn't it? I mean, nowadays we're not going to tear each other to ribbons, are we? I mean, there may be the odd punch. Actually, I don't know listening to all of this.
We haven't gotten out of here yet.
You went down last season because you didn't score goals. Your top scorer scored 4 goals.
We went up as champions and we didn't score goals. The last third of the season, we just did not score goals.
The reason Sunderland Football Club are relegated is one reason and one reason only. Because the chairman has got financial constipation.
Absolutely.
He won't spend the money.
I disagree.
At the end of the day, win, lose or draw, we're all going to be there, aren't we? Win, lose or draw. Who we support, we still are. We'll travel hundreds of miles, and lose or draw, don't matter. And we'll always eat the pies. I mean, the pies are fantastic at Wolves.
And on that note, on that happy note, we're going to wrap this one up.
Still to come on a Vinnie Jones Show.
Did you want to be a player at the beginning?
Yes, I think I'd like to have been, but I found that I didn't have the skills necessary. I was a second team player rather than the first team player.
You've actually won more league championships than you. They've won more league championships than you.
They have not.
They have. They have.
Probably one of the most famous pictures ever in football involves you and Vinnie. Have you still got the fingerprints?
No, but I'll tell you what I have got.
During the week, he's a headmaster, but at the weekend, he's the Premiership's man in black. It is, of course, David Ellery. David, being a headmaster and a referee, how similar are the roles?
Well, they both involve dealing with people and trying to create a situation where those with skills and abilities can express them and are protected from those who perhaps don't want them to express them. So you're dealing with people all the time, and they're very similar roles, I think.
What made you become a referee?
Well, frankly, I wasn't a particularly good player when I was at school, and refereeing gave me a chance to remain actively involved in the game rather than passively watching the game.
Did you want to be a player at the beginning?
Yes, I think I'd like to have been, but I found that I didn't have the skills necessary. I was a second team player rather than the first team player, and was going to get nowhere as a player, so tried refereeing.
How involved is the referee these days? Because I know years ago you would turn up for a game, referee the game and then go away, but now you're a lot more involved. How has it changed?
I think football's become more professional everywhere, and that includes referees, and we now spend much more time training, we spend much more time studying videos, going to meetings, trying to make sure we referee as well as we possibly can, plus being the focus of the media attention, which is huge for all the Premier League referees these days, so it takes much more time.
Have you ever booked Vinnie on the pitch?
I'm afraid I have quite a lot of times, and sent him off once. He's a man with a hard reputation, and part of his reputation has come from his battles with referees, but I have to say for the last 2 years I've not given him a red or yellow card, so either he's getting softer or I am, or both.
Still time.
Still time, yes.
When you have situations like that, when you have to book anyone, do the players ever hold a grudge against it at all?
Not generally, I don't think. I mean, I think there are some players who like some referees and don't like other referees, and sometimes it may be because they feel they've been booked or sent off unfairly, or it may just be a personality clash. Some you get on with very well, some not so well. That's true of all aspects of life, I think.
When you have situations like with David Beckham where the fans were chanting against him, how do you handle that? How do you calm down a player in that situation?
Well, I think a referee has a responsibility to try to make sure that players don't misbehave, and that's not just on the field but off the field situations as well. And I was simply saying to him that the fans weren't worth getting worried about, and really all that was going to happen was that if he reacted, he'd find himself getting into trouble, and he was sort of big enough and ugly enough to ignore them, as it were. And he seemed to take the advice in good part, and one was able to prevent a situation happening rather than having to deal with a problem once it had occurred.
Mm-hmm. There's been quite a lot of rule changes over the past few years. Do you think they're for the good?
I think by and large they are. There was great concern at the start of the season. This new law change where goalkeepers could only hold the ball for 5 seconds was going to cause difficulties, but in fact it's speeded up the flow of the game, and like many of the others, I think it's producing better, faster, more exciting football.
What does the future hold for referees? Can you ever see it where we'll have 2 on a pitch at any time?
I don't think so, really. We have 1 referee and 2 assistants now, so we have 3 people controlling the game. I think there's a greater chance that technology will in some ways come in and assist referees one way or the other, rather than having 2 referees.
And finally, do you still enjoy it?
Very much so, very much. There's a huge buzz when you walk out into the great stadia which are the Premier League, and a fantastic time. I think once I stop enjoying it, I'll leave it.
You know, other supporters might like here as well.
If you're in the middle of Division 1, looking at Stockport as the local derby, we might have a bit more humility, but we're not. Once again, we won the Premiership. Once again, we're in the Champions League. Once again,
and what goes round comes round. 10 years from now, when you maybe not the top dogs,
but when we were in the 2nd division, we still attracted the highest attendance of any other club. It's quite outstanding.
Yeah, well, everybody's still going to want to know about Man United, but unfortunately, the days when 1970s, when City was somebody, have gone. And
since you don't give a tuppenny toss about Manchester City, you seem to be telling an awful lot about what we're doing
It's
wrong.
pretty pointless talking to you lot about Liverpool and Leeds, isn't it? Really, senior City fans. Really, I mean, luckily you lot are getting on a bit, so you've got a good memory, so you'll remember when you actually won something. But for young lads, City fan, I feel nothing but pity really with what they have to go and watch.
And I'm sure a lot of them are going to lose a lot of sleep about that.
What are your goals for this season? I mean, where do you see Everton?
Brand new stadium.
I'd be happy with the top 6.
Yeah,
but I think Kendall's just come. Kendall's come to do a stopgap
for
job.
2 years.
We'll get our new stadium built. The new chairman we've got, we're all happy with him because he's putting his money where his mouth is. We'll have a big stadium. Hopefully, by that time we'll be in the top 3 or 4, and then we'll go for it. Then we'll really go.
And what about Liverpool? What are your goals? Where do you see yourselves this season?
Personally, I'd like to see. I mean, obviously we're looking for silverware.
The title is the one.
Yeah.
But for me, to try new things, not just to sit on the fence and be too defensive, to push up and attack and play 2 up front.
I mean, that is Ince's great strength. I mean, he will take the ball from his half.
A bit more dimension
right
within
through.
the tactics.
Leonardson is a very direct player.
And I believe that will lead to greater things like Andy said.
They've got to win the title this season, because last season we were all saying this year we've got to really do it, and we really threw it away. And this year it's not going to be as easy as it was last year to win the title. It's going to be a lot harder.
Yeah, there's more teams.
Man United are Arsenal getting a lot better. Arsenal are rebuilding. Chelsea are there now as well. They've got a lot of foreign players.
As many clear-cut chances as City get. The record books have brackets where it said United were unlucky and missed 9 chances. It just says who the winners are.
Does City have their pre-season tour in Jersey just because they don't have a passport?
No, we go to Blackpool because every chance we get to go in an open-top bus.
Gavin, you are the Aston Villa mascot. What possesses a grown man to put on a silly suit and do what you do?
The banter, just being part of the club. It's part of being in the club, and I just love mucking around, going out there, especially like Leeds this season when you guys are out there who spat on me. You know, it's a bit of banter, going back to like, not the trouble scenes, like the 70s. I loved it. And when I walk back off and the away fans are giving you a bridge here, it's calmed down.
On the edge feeling?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's going to the pub before the game, having a couple of tots and going out there and just being out on the pitch, and you know what I mean.
I mean, you get on the pitch more than we do. Let's face it.
The last time I got on the pitch at Villa Park, they actually did tell me off.
Did they?
I had 2 shots on goal, missed them, and then the third one actually went in.
So what are your hopes for this season, Les?
I hope that we're going to do well at the moment. We're starting a new season, we're all level, and there's no reason why we shouldn't get promotion.
Are City one of the favourites to go up?
Yeah. They are. Joint favourites.
We were last season.
We were last season, yeah.
So we won't hold our breath on that one.
Mind you, we didn't expect miracles last season, no.
I think this is the one chance, though. I mean, I think it is very, very important that we do it this year. I can only see it getting harder and harder and harder. And I think that
whilst yes, we've got a loyal, die-hard support, you know, at a point it will wane. I'm convinced it will start to wane.
Still to come on a Vinnie Jones Show.
The last time I left there, I was in the Tears was in 1990, but we'll still come back as heroes to a lot of it.
And he's West Indies when the cricket comes round, isn't it?
Obviously. I'm Australian when the rugby comes round.
We're at Glasgow Rangers to meet England's most talked about footballer, Paul Gascoigne. So Paul beating the Italians in Rome, nice feeling for you, having played for Lazio.
Yeah, it was nice. Like I said, the last time I left there, I was in the Tears was in 1990, but we'll still come back as heroes to a lot of it. But it was nice just to go there because Cragnotti said the next time I go to Italy would be for a holiday, and I certainly had a holiday that night. It was great.
Is it different for you, Paul? Because in Italia 90 you were 23, the young lad just making his mark in world football. Now you're one of the most famous footballers in the world. Does that feel different when you qualify this time?
No, the only difference was I was 7 years older. That's the way I look at it. I was probably, you know, I'm more of a team player now, but I'm trying to get all the players involved more in the game and that, and that's where I try and play my game now, you know.
And being a senior player, when you are 30, Phil Neville, like 10 years younger than you, did they look up to you?
Oh, Phil's 22, make it 8 years.
No, and Gary's 22.
Gary, oh sorry, Phil, that's right. Sorry, the Neville brothers. They're great lads, good players, both of them as well. No, listen, when you're my age and you've got young kids like that in the team, it's fantastic because they can do all their own for you, because they're still fit. They're fit as anything, and they'll do anything to get in a team like I will. But no, I've had to do my fair share. And I always heard that I'm their heroes. So when they say boyhood heroes, a bit worrying, and I don't worry about my age. But no, it's good for me as far as I'm concerned. The more young players I have in the team, even if I'm not playing, it's good for England in itself because it just shows in a few years' time that these players are going to be unstoppable.
The papers are absolutely chock-a-block full that Glenn Hoddle's the greatest manager we've had since sliced bread, and people are going to start the bandwagon rolling that we're going to win it. Can I ask you about those two things? Is Glenn Hoddle your type of manager? Been good for you?
All managers I've played on have all been good for us. Glenn's been in the game long enough to know that press builds you up and knock you down, and at the moment everyone in England's on a high. We've got some friendlies with England, and no doubt, you know, if we lose one of them friendlies, then obviously who knows, around the corner I might get stick again and say we're not very good and we won't be winning it. So, you know, we just got to take each game as it comes and just be prepared properly till when the World Cup comes round. Anyways,
Guys, I must stay.
Do you got feelings tell you that if we get lucky we could make an impact?
Well, I don't know, we just won the Tour de France, that little tournament we had in France, we just won that, even though it's friendlies, but there was some big teams in that. Brazil, France, Italy and us, and we won that. So, you know, it's still a year to go. We've still got time, but at the moment I'm just concentrating playing for Glasgow Rangers Football Club. The World Cup's out of my way now. That's gone, it's past. We had our little glory, we had our little celebrations now. Concentrating play for Rangers until the next thing friendly comes round again.
But makes your life easier that the Scottish team have qualified as well?
Yeah, because I'm not too much stick in the dressing room now.
Yeah, well, that always helps, doesn't it?
Keeps them happy.
A last question for you then. This is for the Vinnie Jones Show. Probably one of the most famous pictures ever in football. Involves you and Vinnie. Have you still got the fingerprints?
No, but I'll tell you what I have got. I managed to have a baby with my wife, Shell, which was good news because I thought he had ruined my family allowance when he did get a hold of them. But they're there. It's just it was one of them things happening in football. It was a shock to me, but you know, after that, that was me playing for Newcastle. When I moved to Tottenham, he was the first player to ring me up and say, look, if you fancy a drink and you're lonely, give us a shout and I'll take you out. And I actually did that. I went to his house and we went shooting on his land, clay pigeon shooting, and he was showing us how to hold the shotgun, and I forgot it was loaded, and as I was turning to look, the shotgun went off, and I was about that far from his stomach when it went off, and I turned white and dropped the gun. I couldn't believe it, and we both froze. I think another foot I might have shot him, and just imagine that, people would have thought I shot him because he grabbed me, whatever you call him, you know, conkers. But Vinny's he's a good friend. And one thing about Vinnie, he'll always give 110%, always. Doesn't matter who he plays for, he'll always give 110%, and you know, he's always there for team spirit as well, which is good. And he's one of them players, if there was a war, you'd take with you.
Paul, congratulations on the World Cup qualification.
Thanks very much.
Have you a great tournament.
See you later, Vinnie. Good luck, Paul.
This season, there's already 140 foreign players in the Premiership. Now that to me is staggering. Because if you look at the overall, if you look at 20 players per team, there's only 400 players in the Premiership. 140, which is a third of the players, are foreign. That to me, and the rest are British obviously, right? That to me is ridiculous. It's going to get worse and worse, and you're going to have more and more foreign players playing.
Itself, Robbie, if you've got to pay 7 million in this country to buy Lasode,
I
you
agree
go
totally.
abroad and pay 4.5
That is
million
the
for
reason why we do
Zola,
it.
what are you going to do? You're going to go
That
abroad.
is the reason they do
The
it.
foreign
because,
players are cheap,
well, they go abroad and they can get players that are the finished article for much less money, and that's why they do
buy
it.
a quality
I mean, you buy young
international.
players here, and it's going to take you maybe another 2-3 years to get them to the sort of quality you can go abroad
And who's
buy
going to
for
invest
1 or
in
2
players,
million.
Luther, today? What football club's going to invest in players, knowing now
That this is
they're
coming up.
24 years
you
old?
get absolutely nothing for them. It can just
Well,
work out.
that brings us down to Lilleshall. I mean, to me, I cannot, in a million years, work that one out.
What?
Why Lilleshall has been closed down.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
You know, I mean, we're all for bringing young players on and all the rest of it. You know, you look at your players at Man U that have come up.
Yeah.
You know, I know who decides it, but why, Rod? How does that work?
Well, first of all, if you look at the big picture of football at the moment, right, the Premiership is far and away the league in the world. It's the biggest league in the world now. And if you look at clubs like Manchester United, I understand allegedly again, Manchester United last year allegedly turned down £400 million from Granada Television to buy their club. You're talking about massive amounts of money. Teams now don't need a youth policy anymore. I mean, look at what West Ham did last year. West Ham went out and bought 8 foreign players at the start of the season, and about 4 of them, if you count Julian Dix, 5 of them couldn't speak English.
Gone are the days where the referee's opinion is diminishing, unfortunately, because they're now having to do things by mandate from FIFA, and if they don't do it, and don't do it as FIFA or the Football Association want, then those referees will be punished.
What about that referee that refereed us against Atletico Madrid? He's been suspended since that game. We should have had 3 penalties. Everyone was. Did you see that on the TV?
I saw some of it.
Every one was a penalty, and he didn't give it. But over there, he give a penalty, and after the game, he's been suspended.
Yeah, but that doesn't help Leicester City Football Club, does it?
Basically, the reason being there will have been a UEFA observer at that game, as I do on the Premier, and he will have marked him such a low mark that UEFA have said, right, he will not get another UEFA game for the rest of this season. But I bet you he's still refereeing in the French Premier League.
What I'd like to bring to the forefront at the moment now is, on a Sunday morning, when you pick the papers up, you normally read about the guy that scored the winning goal or has scored, and normally them guys up front are the ones who are on the big money. I'd like to bring forward, Mullers, to you. Liverpool now are saying we've got to go back to basics. We're bringing Paul Ince in. So basically, are they saying their success was around Souness, McMahon, people like that? Were Man United's success around, you know, the Charltons and people like that?
I think if you look at all successful sides, Vinny, they've got the type of... just to look at your side last year, the reason I think why you had your success was Leonardson, yourself, Robbie Earle, playing outstandingly well most weeks, every week, you know, and that's the reason why you had the run. Without the boys up front scoring the goals, which they need to do, but if you're looking at midfield players, Liverpool have taken Leonardson from Wimbledon, you know, got a marvellous engine in the middle of the park, also bringing Ince in as well, and if you look back over the years of Liverpool playing, they always had that type of player in the middle of the field. No. If you go back to Manchester United's days, you mentioned Brian Robson. He was that type of player, tremendous engine in the middle of the field, backwards and forwards, everywhere you go. Going back right the way through to my sort of period of time of
playing. Who were your
Spurs,
boys?
Dave Mackay. Dave Mackay
Well, he's
was
a legend in his own
magnificent
right.
footballer. And when Dave Mackay wasn't playing, we were only half the side because he wasn't in the team. So any successful side, to be successful, you must have that consistency in the middle of the field, plus the hardness of people. You know, when you talk about the inches, you know, calling the governor, a bit like yourself in the middle of the park at Wimbledon, Dave Mackay was so hard, it was unbelievable. If he said he'd break your leg, he'd break 2 legs, not 1. He was that hard, but what a great player he was as well. And Dave was the governor, like Ince will be at Liverpool.
And what about the changes? Have you seen the change? Because obviously, did you play in the Premier
Mick?
Yeah.
You played in the Premier, yeah?
Well, I was out there. You know, it's debatable whether whether I played or not. But I mean, I played for 10 years at Coventry.
Yeah,
in the
Premier
top flight.
in the Premier.
Yeah, I played first year. It was the first.
Yeah.
It was the first year of the Premier League.
So you played most of your career in the first division.
Yeah. Then the last year was
Premier
came in the last year. That's right.
What are the differences now watching it on the box?
The slow motion is superb, I think.
I remember talking to Ian St John many years ago and talking about how they play one-touch, two-touch football. Yeah. And I went through about 10 minutes talking about all their great players, and he said, the one thing you haven't mentioned, he said, is Tommy Smith in the middle of the park. Right. He said, now Tommy Smith will pick out the hardest fellow in the other team, and it used to be a thing years ago, not now, where if you hit a fellow in the first 2 minutes, the referee would let it go, wouldn't he? Yeah. You wouldn't get booked, you wouldn't get sent off. And Tommy Smith used to pick out the hardest fellow in the other team and really give him a dig. And if he came back, then Liverpool had a problem. But if the hard man in the side, like Tommy Smith had sorted it all, the other team used to fade.
Well, in the cup final, the '88 cup final, that was specifically my instructions. Sort McMahon out, and we'll sort Liverpool out.
First tackle, you sorted him out.
But like now, I mean, even Saturday, Sunday on the park or professional football, that is so hard to do now. The thing now is, as a supporter, the players in the middle of the park that have got the presence.
If you look over the history of football and you look at all the great teams, club teams, you look at all the great national teams, they've always been great at the back. They've always been defensively very, very strong. Arsenal, Brazil, Italy, Germany. Look how many times the Germans. When the Germans came to Old Trafford this year, right, and all Manchester United had to do was win, get 2-1, wasn't it? Yeah. Right? They couldn't even score, could they? Germans came, shut up.
They seem very professional.
Your football team, you have a successful football team, you have to win the right to play.
Well, it's last orders here, but I'll be back here next week. Hopefully someone will be getting the beers in. So don't miss the Vinnie Jones Show.